From the Money Desk, this is what we are tracking this hour, and like the rest of the economy, farmers are struggling with higher input costs that now include extra fuel to run generators and other alternative sources of power. Yesterday, videos were doing the rounds showing farmers being forced to dump thousands of litres of milk that had soured due to erratic power supply. Oakland Dairy MD Niekerk joins me now to speak about the impact on milk in South Africa. Ian, thank you very much for joining us this evening. I mean, we've heard from chicken farmers and various other farmers across the agriculture industry really reeling from the implications of the severe power cuts. Tell us a little bit about what's been happening in the milk industry and how bad it's been hit by the blackouts.
Well, obviously, because we have to, good evening, thanks for the opportunity to represent the farmers tonight. There was an article going around that says the farmers use only 40 litres of diesel extra a day because of load shedding. That is not true. The real figure is it cost them nearly 10 cents a litre extra. And then when it goes to the processing plant, it cost us about 30 cents extra. So, but we are really not that uncomfortable with the generators because we had it for a very long time, because we're working with milk that must be at 4 degrees all the time. But costly, it is really, it's really eating us, and feed cost is also a big problem. You will see that in Cape Town, we didn't have the inflation on the milk, so the farmers are really very much under pressure.
Tell us the reasons, and we'll show our viewers that video in a moment, that farmers would have to resort to dumping thousands of litres of milk. We have been seeing those videos doing the rounds. In what is it about the power cuts that would lead a farmer to have to discard all that milk?
Well, that we haven't seen that in Cape, in the Western Cape. I've read that article, and basically what happened there, if I'm correctly, there was instead of the 3 phases, it was 2 phases and 1 phase drop, and the generator didn't start, and that's what happened to the milk. So that could have happened in Eskom's good days also. That is not. I won't hang that around the neck of load shedding. But if your milk isn't kept cold, then you got that result. The thing is, dumping it like that, we as a processors are not allowed to do that. But we haven't had any losses as far as I know, in Cape Town because of load shedding. That is totally a technical mistake that caused that. So that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen here.
Doesn't happen often indeed. And then what about, so if it does happen that you have a technical error of this nature, as we've just shown our viewers, Ian, does the milk have to be discarded, or can it be repurposed perhaps to make cheese or sour milk or any other alternative to what we would find in a 1 litre? Please continue.
Once milk go above 6, one milk go above 6 degrees, the bacteria doubles every 20 minutes. Once the pH drops under 6.6, you must actually pay to get rid of it. You can't just dump it. You have to take it to the authorities, get a certain papers for it. A normal tanker of 30,000 litres costs you about 30K. Costs you about 200K. If you want to dump it, it's going to cost you about 30 to 50K to dump it. So milk is a different ball game than the other farming objects. So I haven't been in the position of dumping the milk. But if we want to dump milk, we have to take it through the authorities to dump it. But you can't do anything to answer your question. Once milk is sour, you can take it to a pig farmer. The pigs can actually, but you need a big one. And normally the big pig farmers, they got a feeding program, so they don't use sour milk.
Yeah. So because you've just assessed, or you've just analysed the situation just based on the experience of farmers in the Western Cape, do you fear that, or do you have concerns that supplies may be impacted perhaps in the short to medium term should the sporadic electricity cuts continue, and farmers are struggling as well with the higher input costs, which would then include the higher diesel prices and the like? Are there any concerns around that? Are you having conversations as dairy farmers?
For sure, it's a big concern. You know that, and the availability of diesel. That is a really big concern because you know the whole cold chain is very important in our industry. So it's on the risk assessment. You know, insurance companies not they won't insure us for that type of thing. So we at the stage that we have to keep extra generators because the generator is running so many hours that we don't we actually worry that the generator if he cuts out and break, then we need another generator. So it's a capital cost. It's also there, and then to produce milk at a diesel price and to produce that electricity price, there's a huge difference, a very huge difference between the two. It's much more expensive on diesel than on electricity. Um, the problem that we've got is we don't know if we're going to get the price from the market because the market is under stress. Also, the people are fighting inflation themselves, and they can only afford so much.
It sounds like the cost of milk could become higher for the average person with that view that you have there. And then finally, would there be any kind of government intervention that the dairy farmers would look toward and say this would help us in the short to medium term?
No, no, the government, we in dairy farming, we don't experience any help from the government, and we're not there's anything in the pipeline of coming to us to help us. Um, we have to do it ourselves through the for all the years. So there's no talk or anything about that the government will be intervening and helping us.
Thank you very much, Ian van Niekerk, who is the Managing Director at Oakland Dairy, talking about the situation for the industry with the power cuts, but also the costs that are increasing for farmers, and unfortunately, eventually that may spill over to the consumers. With